What's up, guys? All right, we're live here. Tesla annual shareholder meeting just finished up. Everything you need to know, I'm going to run through it right here. I got pages and pages of notes, guys. This was so exciting. Just when you think you can't get any more bullish on Tesla, here I am. I got off we live the whole thing over on Oracle Investments. So want to check out the full video, the full annual shareholder meeting. Check that out over on Tim's channel, Oracle Investments. There was some clownery in the comments and it was amazing. Really, you guys are too funny. Tesla really has the best, most supportive retail following of any stock ever, I think. Let's get right to it. They reiterated some things. We've got this 20 million vehicle production period for 2030. We already knew about that. June was their best production month ever, we know. And I was hoping to get some more info on the power segment of the business, and it does seem to be trending in the right direction. We know that a lot of this and ship and commodities constrained, but last year they generated 4 gigawatt-hours of energy, which is enough to power 3 million homes. Okay, Tesla's energy segment has quadrupled over the last few years, and again, I think that this is going to be a huge segment of the business in the future. It could even be bigger than the cars, probably not autonomy and full self-driving, but the car business. And they're also developing a platform for shareholders that we'd be able to ask questions and interact with the company, which I thought was really cool. So then directly from Elon Musk, here we go. So Elon said they generated $7 billion of free cash flow the past 4 quarters. Solving autonomy is going to change everything. And it's crazy to think about this, but there used to be a time when we had elevator operators. We went to automated elevator, and this is how the future of cars is going to be. I talked about the Super effect. Every time competitors advertise electric vehicles, Tesla's sales go up. It's utterly amazing. The Model Y is tracking to be highest selling vehicle by revenue this year and highest by unit volume next year. Okay, but wait, we're just getting started here. Tesla has plans to build 10 to 12 gigafactories. They think that that is the magic number to get us to 20 million production. And we're talking about 1.5 to 2 million output per factory. Fremont right now is the highest output factory in North America today of all auto factories in North America, which is utterly incredible. That was Tesla's first factory. It's the most inefficient. It's designed compared to the newer ones. I'm sure it smokes legacy autos factories. And this is interesting too. Tesla's already recycling over 50 battery packs a week, in Nevada, and scaling that. So that's obviously going to be a huge industry as well. We got to recycle these battery packs, and they're already working on that. As far as master plan part 3 goes, where it gets real juicy. Going to be fundamentally about scaling and thinking about what are all the things to achieve a fully sustainable economy that we need to do. So like what of lithium and cathode, anode, electronics, etc. What are all the things that need to be done to transition to a fully sustainable global economy? Now, Tesla has the largest castings ever built. They took 171 pieces of metal and turned it into 2 pieces. When we look at the front and the rear casting of a car, okay, that used to be made up of 171 pieces. Thanks to the innovations with the press, now Tesla does it in 2 pieces. Okay, the positive impacts of this there's just so many. Obviously, it makes production much easier. They're all lighter, they're stiffer, better. It creates better ride handling. It acts as a better sealing against water. It really is just better in every way. And the castings also reduce the number of robots needed to build. So we're going to touch more on manufacturing in a minute, but unsaid again, long term, Tesla's advantage is going to be manufacturing, right? Because eventually, all cars will be self-driving. So it's going to be very hard to replicate Tesla's manufacturing technology. This is what will keep them ahead long term. They continuously improve the factories. They're rethinking and innovating. As we can see, once Berlin and Texas are fully ramped up, they're going to be the most efficient, best factories that Tesla's ever had. They're just getting better every time. That's the other thing. They kind of have the recipe. They got the playbook down here. They just have to keep doing what they're already doing, right? And we can scale that to 10 gigafactories here. So eventually, as I said, all the cars will be self-driving. Now, moving on. SpaceX and Tesla are the top 2 desired destinations for engineers to work. This is another huge advantage. Where does the best talent want to go? Tesla and SpaceX, okay? And employees at these companies are free to work kind of back and forth between SpaceX and Tesla. You want to work on rockets? You can work on rockets one day. You want to work on Tesla and full self-driving, whatever they're working on, they're free to go back and forth, which what other company does that? This is a first. As far as factory safety, that's improving. They have the best factory safety in the industry, which is huge. It just goes to show you every way Tesla just continues to improve. Manufacturing, vehicles, everything. It just keeps getting better. How can you catch up to someone who's continuously improving and moving 3 times faster than Apple moves? They're doubling the supercharger count every year, making lots of progress on safety. And again, it was already the safest car in the industry. It's only getting safer. One cool innovation they touched on was that Autopilot is going to be able to see if a crash is about to occur and essentially anticipate it and activate a seatbelt pre-tension as well as deploy airbags before the crash occurs. So the majority of cars, the way it works right now, the airbags are deploying, the seatbelt's tightening as you're crashing. It's kind of already too late, and it's much more violent deployment. Whereas if it can anticipate the crash, like the crash is guaranteed to happen, start deploying those things earlier, which is going to save even more lives. Moving on to the real juicy stuff, FSD beta, we got some updates on. They have 40 million miles driven of data so far, expecting by the end of the year to get to 100 million miles, and it's going to increase exponentially thereafter. This can only help because the more data, it's going to help them just get finish line with full self-driving. And then they're talking about widespread deployment of FSD beta this year in North America. AI Day Part 2, we got some updates on. Elon said it is going to blow people away. Blow them away, and I believe it. I cannot wait for AI Day. We're going to get that in September. All right. Then they had 100 million total cars in 10 years is doable. So total cars that they've built and I guess have out on the roads would be 100 million. Utterly insane to think about. And Elon said he would be surprised if that wasn't the case. Plus, they're working on a ton of other products, some we've heard of and some that we have not. So keep your ears out for new products definitely in the pipe here. Moving on to the Q&A section, got a lot of good questions. How will Tesla use cash in coming years? So Elon said that they've been increasing their CapEx and R&D money as fast as possible without wasting any. So putting as much money into R&D and CapEx spend without wasting any of that money. So it's all going to great use. And then depending on the future cash flows, looking at a possible share buyback. But they are being cautious. They're ensuring that they have plenty of capital and free cash flows and that the world is stable. And with all those things, a share buyback will be on the table. This is kind of what I had iterated in my last video on Tesla, saying, I don't think it's necessary right now. I'd rather err on the side of caution with everything going on. And in case, more unforeseen problems occur, whether global, macroeconomic, with FSD, production, supply chain, whatever it is, there's so many problems. And I think you can't be too safe these days, right? They've got a lot of cash on their balance sheet, I believe 18 billion right now. And like I said, tracking to do 7 billion in free cash flow over the last 4 quarters. So to achieve the 2 million vehicles a year target that they're shooting for in 2030, we're looking at roughly a dozen gigafactories. As far as the Cybertruck pricing, sorry, you guys, this is the only bad news from the only report, but we kind of already knew this. Cybertruck pricing is going to be different than the original 2019 projections. Obviously, a lot of it has changed since then, but Elon said it is going to be one hell of a product, and that production should start the middle of next year at Giga Austin. So no surprise there. Cybertruck manufactured in Giga, Texas. Elon was, how is Tesla viewing geopolitical risk between U.S. and China? And he said, what could possibly go wrong in answering this question? I mean, some of these questions are ridiculous. What is he going to say? But he said he's hoping for some respect. That would be nice. It would be great to not China invade Taiwan in 2022. I think we've been enough already. And yeah, that would be nice if we could just not have any more wars this year. As far as their superchargers and the real estate strategy, as well as Tesla Diner, they're prioritizing the locations that have the greatest need. This is actually going to be sick. I got to go to this Tesla Diner. They said it's coming. It's going to be Blade Runner meets Grease. You're going to be able to do so much cool stuff while your car's charging. Big, projectors up, watching like awesome best scenes from the best movies Elon was talking about. But moving on to the 4680 batteries, they're making a decent number of them every week and are projecting a high volume production by end year. So the 4680 batteries are huge to the future of Tesla. It's going to It's just another example of one of their major innovations that's keeping them ahead. These are superior batteries, and hopefully that all goes smoothly, but it definitely bodes well for them. As far as inflation, we got some insight into where prices are headed over time. Most commodities, essentially half of the ones Tesla needs, Elon said the prices are trending down in 6 months. So while that can change, it suggests that we are past peak inflation, which is good news. But again, he said macroeconomic predictions are hard, and he's really just guessing. But he's anticipating a mild recession for 18 months, and we're better off now than we have been in prior recessions, as there's no fundamental capital misallocations in the U.S. right now, and inflation will drop rapidly. And if you look at, the price of gas has been coming down pretty steadily. As long as that continues, again, anything can happen. Hopefully, barring any more wars and supply chain disruptions, it looks like things won't be too. As far as the impact of automation and autonomous cars, Elon said how owning a car will become optional. Think about this as a combination of Uber and Airbnb, and the utility of the car will be mind-blowingly great. Okay? So we already know that, there's going to be no need for parking essentially once all these cars are autonomous, driving around, basically acting as Ubers all the time. And then touching on Optimus, the Optimus bot is going to bring the future to now. And ready for this one? Assuming we do all these things, quote here from Elon, Tesla will be the most valuable company in the world. What more do you need to hear? I mean, they're executing on everything so far. As long as they continue down this current path, and again, when you go through those competitive advantages I just outlined, all of the best talent wants to go work at Tesla. So if anyone's going to get it done, it's Tesla, and they're going to get, further than anybody else. I truly believe that. He also said, this is great advice for everyone, myself, every investor. Elon said not to get too caught up in the quarter to quarter, it's all noise, right? If the stock goes down, he said, don't panic. It's a buying opportunity. And he's right. I mean, we had Tesla in the 600s, and now it's already back up to 900. So we'll see what happens. Again, anything can happen with the stock price, obviously, but the company is doing better than they ever have, firing on all cylinders here. A few more really big pieces of info here, and then let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll address them. So they were asked, when would Tesla launch their first pilot city for robotaxi business? Obviously, we know GM with Super Cruise and their autonomous initiative, they already have customers in cities like San Francisco. But in answer to this question, Tesla is looking much bigger picture. They're going to be much more widespread. What Tesla is developing is a general solution, real world AI, not something that will be specific to one city or location. And just to kind of give you an idea, whereas these companies are kind of geofenced, when you look at GM, they're GM and Google, these cars are moving on a track. They can't go outside the designated city that they're. But Tesla's system, in theory, would still work on a randomly computer generated Earth. So if everything's different, but all the roads are still, there and there's signs and stuff, a Tesla car will be able to navigate. Just think about how incredible that is. And nobody else is doing that, And then Gary Black, great analyst, big Tesla bull. He always keeps it real. He asked a great question about succession and key man risk. I think this is probably the biggest issue with Tesla. You don't want to think the worst case, but you never know. Key man risk being what happens if Elon goes, if he leaves the company, if something were to happen. He has no intentions of leaving. He said that he's going to stay as long as he can be useful. Elon wants to work on the product and factory design and optimizing manufacturing. But either way, even if Elon were to leave the company, he thinks that the team is so talented. They have such a very talented team there that Tesla would continue to do very well with or without him at this point. Obviously, we want him to stay there forever because no one is going to replicate this guy. But I do think Tesla's in good hands at this point, and things are looking pretty good. As far as Twitter, this is really interesting too. Elon's kind of looking at Twitter with his grand vision for what X.com could have been back in the day. So if you're familiar with Elon's prior companies, he had big visions for X.com. It didn't really work out. He was basically bought out, ousted because people think short term. PayPal, it was a whole big thing back in early 2000s .com era. And he kind of has a vision to do that with Twitter. And he's saying, with or without Twitter, this is something that he could start from scratch, but Twitter could help accelerate the process by 3 to 5 years, and something very useful to the world. So this is something I've kind of touched on. I'm thinking what he's trying to do is make a sort of super app. Like they have these super apps in China. You go on Alibaba, WeChat, all these companies. They do a wide variety of things, kind of like a one-stop shop app. This is something I've also, thought about Facebook could be with all the things that they're able to offer with Marketplace and whatever else. But it's something that could be very useful to the world. And then a couple more things here. Touched on the Boring Company and Hyperloop, the vision to make roads 3D, and how this can solve any traffic problem in any city by going 3D with tunnels. And the Boring Company is going to do interesting things in the years to come. You got to think SpaceX, Tesla, Boring Company, Neuralink, Hyperloop. These companies are all going to be connected and work off each other. There's a grand plan here. Maybe we'll get some of that master plan part 3. It does sound like it's going to be more so about mass scale and what's required for that. And then as far as the Dojo supercomputer, this is a computer designed from the ground up to be optimized for neural net training. And this is something that has never been done before. So just another frontier that Tesla leading the way here, leading the charge and doing amazing things. And he got a good question to wrap it up. If you guys don't have any questions, we'll wrap up. About how can the masses help push Elon's vision? We've done a great job and continue to push for a sustainable energy future. If we work hard toward a sustainable future, we will achieve it, and the future will be a very bright one. So nice positive note to end on. The future is something we should be excited for. As much as if you watch the news, you probably should just stop doing that, to be honest. I stopped and I feel a lot happier. But, you got to look past all this doom and gloom. The future should be exciting. We have so many amazing things to look forward to. We are really living through an unprecedented time here of technological innovations and leaps led by none other than Tesla, soon to be the largest company in the world. I really think that. Elon keeps saying it on the call, so he clearly does too. So if you want a little Spark Notes version, check out on Twitter at Vinsanity100. I posted a summary of a lot of my notes from the 2-hour Tesla annual shareholder call. And lots of great info there. And if you guys are interested in hearing the full report, I just did a video live over on Oracle Investments with Tim. We live streamed the entire annual shareholder meeting. Link to that in the pinned comment below. If there's any questions, we'll wrap up there. And everyone have an awesome weekend. See you next time.